I am pleased to convene this meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust at 6:44. I am sorry about all of the confusion with the technical stuff. It's totally my fault. I am new at this and please indulge me. Sorry about that. We have a lot of good stuff to cover tonight. There is a revised statement from the Governor Baker's office. In terms of committees, I don't know if you've heard or not, but when Governor Baker rescinded the emergency order, it also required open meetings to be held in person. It was quickly pointed out to him, and the legislature passed a bill which he signed within a day or so, allowing Zoom meetings to extend, I believe, until April of 2022. So we are back on Zoom for the foreseeable future. I do not know if or when we will be back in person, but for the foreseeable future, we are on Zoom. The meeting is being recorded. There is a copy that will be posted as soon as possible on the town website, along with meeting minutes. In terms of our agenda tonight, we have meeting minutes, which were sent on for May 13th. Does anyone have any comments or alterations? Did everybody get them?
No.
No, okay.
No.
We're gonna pass on that and do it the next time then.
Perfect.
Okay, because we don't have the meeting minutes from the meeting on 40 Grove Street, which was a special meeting for May 27th. So we do not have those meeting minutes available to us yet, so we can't vote on those either. So
Fred, may I interrupt for a second?
yeah, of course.
Do we still have, I still have to read that pursuant to Governor Baker intro still? Or no?
I don't think I have to review the whole thing. I simply have to give, I can do it if you like. To Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's June 16, 2021 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting in any public body. This meeting of the Great Barrington Affordable Housing Trust Fund will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible, given the technical abilities of the host. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the general public and parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.townofgb.org. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and to the meeting may do so in the following manner. See instructions at the top of the agenda. No in-person attendance of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological meetings. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite the best efforts, we will post on the town website an audio or video recording, transcript, and all other comprehensive report of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meetings. All votes are roll call, and we will follow the agenda to the greatest extent possible. Anyone wishing to speak, please make themselves known and the chair will acknowledge you. We will try to make this efficiently as possible. On the agenda, we are going to pass over the first item, which is approval of minutes. We will make sure that you get minutes before the next meeting. Second item is with Chris Rembold's help, I put together a summary of funds that have been received and dispersed. And I believe I've sent that to everyone here. I'll see if I can open a copy. go to share my screen. So I don't know if people have had a chance to look at this. I tried to do it by program in terms of grants. I can go through this briefly. I think it's very helpful. It shows us where we're at. If anybody has any questions, please don't wait to the end. Please lie in. The first grant we received was our seed money, so-called, $15,000 from general funds from the town, unrestricted for any use. We have been using these primarily for administrative and the website. We also spent almost $10,000 on the feasibility for the Alden site, otherwise known as the North Plain Road site. And for some reason, we recorded the deed, the legal requirements for the deed for 40 Grove Street for $155. We have $4,097.02 remaining in that account. Those are our only unrestricted funds that aren't encumbered by anything. All the other funds are sourced from CPA. For our down payment assistance program, we had, in my view here, fiscal year 19 allocation of $100,000. We have made 4 grants, including the one I recently signed last week. Thank you, Bill, for your help with that, for a total of $74,000. We have also been very successful at very efficiently advertising in the shopper. Bill put together some really well done text ads in the shopper that will run through the end of June. They're very, as you know, the shopper gets read by a lot of people, and it's very cheap to advertise there. There's $25,503.90 left in that down payment assistance account. Since our average grant is $18,000, that is not a lot of extra money going forward with this program, and we can come back to that. We also got money from CPA, $50,000 for any housing purpose. We have allocated, we used money from that account for the down payment for the Alden parcel when we required a down payment, earnest money. And we also have allocated $35,000 from our rental assistance to our rental assistance program that Construct's running for us. The balance in that fund is $6,250. Our second down payment program was funded under CPA fiscal year 20 at $100,000. We subsequently went back after the COVID emergency hit, and we requested that we could take money that we weren't, we hadn't spent on down payment assistance and repurpose it towards the rental assistance program. We have had 2 votes. We took $15,000 from that and $50,000 from that for a total of $65,000. If you'll notice, we'll talk about this later in the meeting, but with the fiscal year 18, $35,000, that means that we've now allocated a total of $100,000 towards the rental assistance program. We have $35,000 remaining in that account that is unencumbered. So with the 25 earlier and the 35 this, we have the ability to spend $60,000 on rental assistance right now. For the Alden parcel, we changed our request to $185,000, which was granted by CPA and approved by town meeting. Because we had put down a down payment on the Alden parcel, even though we spent $175,000 on it, the amount that shows up in this line item is less because some of that money was spent from the previous unencumbered money. So the balance was just under $170,000. Legal costs were a lot less than we thought, just about $500. We have $14,815.50 in that account. That money, this committee asked Bill, and we went back to the CPA and asked them if they could release that money for engineering and survey, preliminary engineering and survey on the Alden parcel, otherwise known as the North Plain Road parcel. Town meeting approved that. And so later I would like to ask for a motion that we spend up to $14,815.50 towards engineering and survey for the Alden Road parcel, but that's a later line item. I wanted to give you a snapshot of where we are, where the money is, all that, how our programs are, which programs have been successful. In total, we've been responsible for $450,000. We have encumbered or spent $364,000, just over $364,000 of that money, which means that there's $85,000 in various line items left. Is that clear as mud, or any questions?
Very clear.
Extremely clear.
That's where we are as of today.
Great.
So,
Right.
This was super helpful. Thank you, Craig.
So any other comments we'd be happy to talk about. Chris Rembold put all the work into getting it, and I just sort of wordsmithed it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second. If I could figure out how to do it, stop sharing here. And okay, the next item, which comes out of that just directly, is an update from Construct on, I'm sorry to be distracted here, but I'm trying to look for a document too. An update from Construct on the status of the rental assistance program. And again, I'm going to share my screen here with this document that I believe I also sent to you. You'll notice that this is Great Barrington specific report, but it also covers Construct's programs in the all of Southern Berkshire. And I want to highlight a couple things. You can look at it yourself. This is from the inception back about a year ago in June of 2020, when this program was started, when Construct came to us and asked if we could help out. And the town wanted to help and found that this was our group was the best way to do this. I want to highlight a couple numbers. We've had 110 grants that have been provided in Great Barrington specifically. Of those, there are 61 households that have been helped. Total in Great Barrington only is just under $100,000, $98,947. However, our program has only provided a little over half of that, $52,504. And the reason is, that Construct has been able to get money from Berkshire Taconic and from recovery funds, from some of the state's monies and some of the federal monies, and able to use it within this program. Construct's doing a lot more than paying simply rental assistance to help people stay in their apartments and to help small landlords, pay their bills, which is, I think, the other part of this that I'll get back to. They're doing a lot of financial counseling with people who come to them for this program. They're doing a lot of helping people to apply for money directly that they're entitled to under all of these programs. And I think that that's one of the best parts of this whole thing. Excuse me. Our money, that is the Great Barrington Affordable Housing Trust rental assistance, is last mile money. It's the last, if you're talking about the Wi-Fi, so the last mile, it's the last dollar money. They go to any of the other sources that people are entitled to before they turn to the Great Barrington money. The average assist has been $827. On this, you'll also see that they're helping out in Lee, Lenox, Stockbridge, and all of the towns in Berkshire County. We are not involved in any of that. Those are all separate programs. But the point is that Construct is helping more in Great Barrington than anywhere else, but that's because there's more rental units in Great Barrington than anywhere else in Southern Berkshire. If you recall on the previous financial summary, we have voted and authorized Construct a total of $100,000. That was 15, 35, and 50. So that adds up to 100. If you'll notice from this here, of that 100, they've spent just over $52,000. They're being very judicious with the money. When this program ends, they don't get to keep the money. We have an authorization up to $100,000. So there's a potential that some of that money could come back in. When it does, it will go back into our rental assistance and down payment assistance programs. I would like to propose that we keep this program running at least until there are clearer signs that the economy is not still shocked. There are still people who are having a lot of trouble, and the ending of some of the enhanced
Benefits.
Thank you. Benefits plus childcare plus the places are opening at different levels, restaurants going out of business. This is going to continue at least for this summer, if not longer. Anyway, that's a summary as of today of where we are. That's from Construct directly. But how it relates to us is we provided $52,000 for people who would have been otherwise behind in their rent. And we have an authorization to go forward. The other part about this, and one last comment, is they take an administrative fee out of this. It tends to be 1 or 2%. So their overhead for the people that they have working on this program is very, very small. It's one of the smallest that I've ever seen in any program like this. So are there any questions?
So Construct has roughly, I'm not good at math, but $47,500 left of our money.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
And we still have about 65,000 or so left for down payment assistance.
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
You're both right on. That's exactly where we're at.
Okay.
However, what I'd like to get into is if we need to replenish that account. So one of the things that I put on here was a discussion about what we might want to do relative to the next cycle of CPA funding. And while we do have $65,000 in our wallet for down payment assistance plans, the cost of housing has gone up. The cost of these grants has gone up. Our authorization right now for the down payment assistance program says that we'll go up to 10% of the cost of the house, up to $25,000. The most recent grant we made, which got somebody in a house that wouldn't have otherwise been able to do that, and I'm really happy about that, was $25,000. And with only $65,000 in the bank that's unencumbered on not, the money to come. Encumbered basically means tied up, authorized but not yet spent. So we've authorized or encumbered $100,000 to construct. They've only spent $52,500, but they could be spending more right now. They're authorized to do that anyway. I wanted to ask if it made sense to go back to the CPA for the next cycle and ask them for more money for the down payment assistance. In other words, replenish the bank. I think we've got a track record. I mean, I'm guilty of testifying or talking too much, but I'll just say this. I think we've got a track record of successful program now. I think we can point to that and demonstrate how successful a program's been. I think we can tell them that it's not a grant, that it is a revolving fund, that the money will be paid back when somebody sells their house. Basically, the program is structured as a lien on their mortgage, so that when they sell, they are obligated to pay 100% back. And that housing costs are just so much more expensive now.
Brad, how many down payment assistance grants have we made?
4
Okay,
for 75,000 or
74,000.
74,000.
Right.
And I can tell you exactly what they are. I think. No, I can't. I don't think I can.
I'm muted.
The first one we did was 11,800. The next one was 23,500. We did one early January for $14,000. And the most recent one was $25,000. And I think we have another one in the works for 25.
Okay.
So are you asking, should we go back and ask for more money? Don't you think we should? And with our track record, are we able to ask for something more than what we normally ask for, Fred, do you think?
I think I would propose $100,000 to fill up the bank, if you will. Keep in mind that there's a long lead time on this. When we apply or go before them in October, and if they pass it in the fall, it will go to spring town meeting, but the money won't actually be available until the beginning of the next fiscal year on July 1st of 2022. So what we have to do is anticipate a year in advance what we need. If we don't do it for 2022, our next opportunity is July 1st of 2023. And that's 2 years from now.
Yeah, I think we should definitely apply for the 100. I mean, if there's one in the pipeline now for 25,000, then we have 1 or 2 left that we could give out.
Exactly.
My only concern is that housing prices are really high. And is 10% down going to be enough to help people? I don't know, but I think it's worth investigating.
I think we can talk about that. I think 10% does help people.
Oh, yeah.
But you had proposed increasing the limit of what a house was. The most recent house, this woman that just signed papers was $250,000. Up until a couple months ago, you could still find how. I mean, the house over here on Van Duzenville sold for $210,000. That's this spring. Now it's a wreck, but you know, it's a livable wreck. It's like some old lady lived there or something. Sorry, if it's your mother's house, I'm sorry. Sorry if I just insulted it. Bill, your proposal was that we could go to like 325 or something like that for
something, yeah, but you'd still have to come up with a lot more money besides the 30,000, I would imagine, but
there are programs. There are first-time home buyer programs.
Sure. Yeah.
When we wrote this, we said you can come up with other sources of money.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the mortgage companies are very receptive to our program.
Yes.
I don't think they want our program to be 100% of the money that somebody has in it.
Right.
They want somebody to have some skin in the game.
Yes.
That would make sense.
But we have, even if we don't go before them until the fall, there will still be a housing crisis. I think we have momentum coming out of COVID, and we have a year literally in June now of, you know, almost 55,000 in rental assistance. So we're working with community partners. I think we have plenty of ground to ask for 100 grand, and we should.
I agree.
Without a song and dance, perhaps, I hope. Or
What?
without having to do the old soft shoe, don't they usually require they want something ahead of time? It's been always been the bugaboo.
We have to just fill out the paperwork basically and apply for it.
But if they want to hear from any of us, I am happy to talk about how hard it is to live here, to afford to live here. I think we have plenty of stories to help them sympathize with us.
Well, we have a published article that we can share. We can copy and share with them. We'll put together a pack of supportive documents.
Yes.
I think having a track record. The other thing that, you know, a couple of particular members on the CPA committee is the idea of leveraging their money against other things. And I think we can tell them that, you know, by doing this, we're freeing up other monies. I also think that it makes a lot of sense for people at the bottom end of the market to get in. It's, after all, the best way to build wealth in the middle class. But I don't want to change the entire community to, you know, people who don't live here, who buy up cheap houses and put them on Airbnb or whatnot. Or, you know, I want people who, I guess we were talking about workforce housing and things like that. You know, we need to do everything we can to get people into houses.
So very quickly in that spirit, and you know, I will let Jane come back and give us an update. They want to be helping other communities in the Berkshires create the kind of program that we have. Jane is trying to encourage it in her travels through other town governments and requests and stuff. And she asked if I would be interested in maybe helping her explain the success of our program to other communities. So I think that the town should combine a discussion about housing with job training, because they go hand in hand. And Steve Bannon has invited a combined discussion about job training and housing with the school board. So maybe that's just another thing we can talk about at another time, but maybe involving some of the other committees and making it like a larger discussion, or maybe providing regular updates, not regular, but quarterly updates to the select board. I noticed that the Housatonic Improvement Committee is doing quarterly updates to the select board, and it reminds me of things about Housatonic and other things when I hear it. So it just might be a good idea for us to like sort of push our way in the door and engage some other boards. I mean, you can't live here without a good job, and you can't get a good job here unless you can afford to live here. So I've always argued that it's a joint issue.
It's a perfect introduction to a little proposal I was going to make.
Cool.
Habitat for Humanity, as part of their mission, has a sort of working relationship with trade groups so that they take on apprentices and things like that. And those people are given an opportunity to learn a trade, learn plumbing, electrical, carpentry, whatever, during the construction of Construct's houses. Not Construct, I mean Habitat's houses, but Construct also has a program now with Greenagers, something, entrance to the trades or something like that. I don't remember the exact name of it. And I'm wondering if the Housing Trust had the funds available, if we could, as a foreclosure comes up or tax taking by the town, we could purchase that property and essentially hand it over to Construct instead of Habitat. I think Habitat's going to have their hands full with 20 units up in Housatonic. But Construct and Greenagers have this program where people are learning the trades through projects that they're doing. And I think it's also tied in with what Steve is doing at the school. Anyhow, if we could be the piece that actually purchases a property to rehab and bring up to code or whatever, and subsidize the mortgage, I think that might be a program we could apply to the CPA for funding.
Is that putting us in the real estate business, Bill?
Well, we are in the real estate business.
Yeah, I guess. But...
Yes.
Well, we are in a way.
Yeah.
But in a way, I know, but you know, someone's probably going to object to it. I get the letters, there's those alphabetical, CPC and CPA.
Ah, yes.
You know, so one of them is, I don't know. I just can see him maybe being opposed to that.
And I think it's a lot of money that we're talking about. And I'm not sure that it's going to be successful. I think if we could get something like 40 Grove Street, we can certainly do that. I think that we are in a very odd housing market right now.
Yeah.
And one of my realtor friends says the bubble's going to burst, and she just doesn't know when. But will it burst all the way back or not? I don't
Probably
know.
not.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm here in Housatonic, and right now down near Risingdale Cafe, there was a house that sold for $65,000 in 2012. It's on the market now for $450,000.
Wow.
There were two houses in Risingdale as well that went for $95,000. That's a package, $120,000, about 2013. And they've been rehabbed and they've sold now for over $300,000 each in Risingdale.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how we're going to be able to come across those bargains again.
Right.
And if we talk about, I mean, if you look at the model that we did with 40 Grove Street, we basically gave it to Habitat for nothing.
Yeah.
And with all of the costs, even with volunteer labor and trades, they're still talking about having to sell it near market. You know, they were talking about $260 or something like that they're going to be selling it for.
Well, that's below market.
Well, it is for that house, but you know,
I mean, that brings it within range of us being able to give somebody down payment assistance to buy it. You know, we can give them almost
They're
10%.
telling me that their costs are going to be 325 and that they're going to fundraise to subsidize the difference between what it actually costs them,
Right.
that house that they got for nothing,
Yeah.
and what they can sell it for at 260.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy. So I think that we need to think long and hard about that. Interestingly, Habitat is working with Taconic Vocational School. I guess it's a vocational school. And you know the person that they're working with? Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey is a carpentry vocational instructor at Taconic.
Yeah.
And he is a resource, which I don't know. I guess he still doesn't. I don't know that he still yells at us so much, but when we get going, I think that these are interesting discussions, and I think that we need to think about them and maybe try to put some more shape around them. I'd like to go on with our agenda a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And on our agenda, I have an update of the 40 Grove Street site. And this will be quick. There's not much going on there. The transfer of the deed will be happening before the end of the month. It has not happened yet. The Habitat, as you know, was the successful proposal, and they've been able to get in and get their engineers and get their mechanical people in, and Carolyn told me that they were measuring for kitchen cabinets the other day. They got the key to go in and measure for new kitchen cabinets. I'm meeting with Chris Rembold and Carolyn from Habitat next Thursday to discuss primarily the transfer of the deed for 40 Grove Street. I see that, and Carolyn has promised a neighborhood and community engagement for that parcel, and I think we need to hold her to that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to then segue into the North Plain Road site, which the first part of that is the update of what is going on. Chris Rembold applied on behalf of the town for design and engineering money from MassWorks. We've been told by staff that we're pretty likely to get it, but we probably won't hear until October. And that would be money to pay for the engineering for the septic and the water and things like that. In terms of timeline, if we get the award in October, the engineers told us that they can go right ahead. Under the conditions of the MassWorks grant, the town of Great Barrington has to hold the contract. In other words, the engineer, Habitat's engineer, needs to contract directly with the town of Great Barrington for this infrastructure and things like that. My hope is that those plans will be shaped up by midwinter, and we will be able to start going through our boards and approval process. We will have a road layout, site, an idea of where the site drainage is, what all the other components are, where the green space is, what the site coverage potentially could be if all 20 units are done. And that will be part of the, let's call it winter, spring tour through the Great Barrington boards for the approval of that. I don't know if you've never been involved in one of these projects, you can develop certain things by right. Excuse me. But anytime you're going beyond that, you need to get special permission. The town has a comprehensive permit there's a couple of different pathways that you could go through, either through planning or zoning. And the town has a comprehensive permit that Chris is recommending we take. So we are going to go that route, I believe. And that can be a very friendly development. Once we have that approval, we still then need to take those documents and apply for construction money, which is going to be in another cycle to MassWorks again. So assume that if they have a early June deadline for their application, we'll have those in documents able to be sent in for construction money, which we probably won't hear again until October of 2022 that we are awarded the construction money. We're told that it's highly likely, not guaranteed. Who knows what money is going to be available in 2022. And then from there, we can bid the job and construction can start early in 2023 on the infrastructure. Very long way. Anyway, what I'd like to propose, what we've discussed previously, is we have authorization to spend just under $15,000 on survey and engineering. The engineers told me that with that money, they can get started. They can do the site survey this summer, and they can do the preliminary layout of how the site's going to develop. That is, where the low spots is, where the drainage is going to go. There's also talk about a sewer easement through the site. The engineer, while that neighborhood along Linda Lane and the other streets there, I do not believe is served by town sewer.
That's correct.
What the engineer is proposing and what the town of Great Barrington prefers, and I'm not going to say requires at this point, but prefers, is to have an area designated for a sewer pumping station should that neighborhood join the sewer system. That would be on this parcel. And we're not going to build this. I don't believe we're going to build this huge sewer pumping station sufficient for the whole neighborhood. But what we would do is anytime we would put a pipe under the ground, instead of making it a 6-inch pipe, we might make it an 8-inch pipe so that it would be able to take additional capacity beyond our site. I believe that's going to be a strong preference for the town of Great Barrington. Anyway.
Right?
Yep.
If you remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a big bugaboo for people in Housatonic about the sewer system. And if we're going to be doing something, we better make sure they're included in it, and or that it's going to not affect them, or if it is, how it is and what's to be done. But that really frosted their behind last time. So I want to make sure that
we were
transparent enough with them.
The whole point of doing this early engineering and survey work is so that we can answer some of those questions. We won't have full construction documents ready, but rather than wait for the MassWorks grant and the engineer to get started in November, maybe, I want them to get started in August at the latest, so that because Carolyn and Habitat want to start engaging the neighborhood by August or September, having community meetings. Carolyn had a date. There's a town-wide event or a community-wide event in September. I don't remember what it is now, and I don't have it written down where I can access it. And she said, we want to, by that date, we want to be involved in the neighborhood. When we get involved with the neighborhood, people are going to, like you're saying, Garfield, people are going to be asking questions. Where's it going to be? Where's the road going to be? Where's my green space going to be? Where's the septic going to be? All these kinds of things. What's the site drainage? You know, how come, you know, I don't want water running into my backyard from this thing, that kind of thing. We need to do enough engineering so that when she goes out and starts talking to people, she has some answers. Maybe not every answer, but we can't just be saying to people, yeah, we don't know yet. Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet.
No, we cannot.
You know, because people will turn off from that. So I'm proposing that we spend $14,815.50 to allow the engineer to get an early start and answer some of those early planning questions. Also, with that information, Carolyn has architects and others, engineers, who are starting to start working on what the mix of the houses are, things like that. Start talking to people about what they need, what the designs are, things like that. So
are we going to be involved in any of that? Will we need to
yes.
be? Why do I feel like someone's going to point finger at us anyway, even though Habitat's doing it?
You will be notified if there's a meeting in Great Barrington or Housatonic and invited to it. I've committed to being involved. As you know, I retired, so I have time. I've committed to being involved and at least on a monthly basis with what's going on so that I can report back to you guys and put my 2 cents in. So
I just wanted to mention that Garfield's concern about the sewer line. I think that was, people thought that because we were extending the sewer line out to the North Plain Road, that they were going to be required by the town or the state to hook into it.
Right.
And that's not the case. They're not going to be required to do that. What we are going to, I believe what you're talking about, Fred, is that we're going to allow that if someone's septic system fails, that they could get an easement to hook into the sewer system in the development. So they wouldn't be required, because the sewer is not going down in front of their house, no one's going to be required to connect, but it could be offered as an option if someone's septic fails, which I think is probably pretty unlikely given how sandy all that stuff is over there.
Okay.
So what we're going to try to do is get Habitat to keep, we want to build the momentum.
Yeah.
We don't want to let this lie dormant for 2 years and then come back and say, you know, we've been working in the background. People are like, well, you haven't seen it. So, you know, I've been talking to Carolyn. She agrees. We want to just continue the momentum and start now about this. Under their plan, people sign up for houses long before the house is built. The house is built to their requirements. If they have 3 kids, you know, that's accommodated. If they're, you know, if they have a different family size, they can work with that as well. They did one in Pittsfield where there were 2 sisters who each lived in a duplex, I think, or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to get a motion from the board to authorize the money that was appropriated and authorized by town meeting for $14,815.50 to be used for either survey or engineering purposes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none.
But I asked,
This will be a roll call vote.
Hey, hang on, there's a question.
I just wanted the amount again, please.
Yes,
Eileen.
the amount is $14,815.50.
Thank you.
Any discussion? On the motion to approve engineering and survey monies for the North Plain Road site, Larissa,
Aye.
Garfield,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
John,
Fine.
and chair votes aye as well. Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
Fred, can we just take a jump back for a minute?
Yes, I mean, that's basically all I had on my agenda, other than a discussion about meeting times.
On the funds, when does the CPC next meet?
They have a two-part process. I believe, and Bill, you can need to correct me, I believe it's September, we submit a two-page letter of intention, basically, qualifications of what we want to do. They then meet and approve those if they're appropriate, and then we come before them in October.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should make the request to them along the lines of what we've been doing, because I think that will give us the greatest chance of getting another 100,000.
Yeah.
Without adding things to it.
Do we want to make that a motion?
No, I'm just giving my view.
Okay.
I'll make it a motion.
I mean, I don't know how often you want to meet this summer, given that it's summer. And I don't know how much things are going to be going on. Do you want to skip July?
Sure.
I mean, it's right now we're at the end of June. So, you know, if we got back together at the end of the summer, would that be okay with everybody?
If we're going to have to submit something in September, you might want to have a meeting at least mid-August or something.
Yeah, too much time lapses. I'll forget.
I don't want to meet just, you know, I mean, I'm happy to meet and you know, it's Zoom, what the hell, you know, and talk about what's going on and give you updates on the programs, if you like.
I think that would be good.
All right.
Are you going to make the part 1 and part 2 applications, Fred?
Yes, with your help.
100,000, yeah. Okay.
You're going to be training me to do all of this.
Yeah, I can help you with that.
And you're still going to manage the website because I'm hopeless. But
That's okay. I can do that too.
yes, and the other thing that maybe we should talk about, and probably in the fall, is renewing the Shopper's Guides adverts there. I think we should need to see how successful they've been. We've gotten at least one lead out of it that I know of, but I propose that we don't just continue to run them. We take a little break for a few months and then come back and do it again.
I think that's a reasonable idea.
That's a good idea. But we would be asking for money for down payment or rental assistance, because who knows what the market's going to be like 4 or 5 months from now.
Yes.
Yes, we will make it as liberal as they'll allow us to.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I've heard from one member of the CPA committee is they didn't feel that our group was being fully transparent on the money, particularly having to do with the Alden or the North Plain Road site. They thought, well, you asked for 185 and now you want it, and now there's extra and it didn't cost that much, and you didn't tell us that you'd already put a down payment on it, so you didn't really even need 175,000 and
Actually,
all that.
is not true.
None of that's true. None of that's true.
I know, but it's what this person that talked to me told me that he and one other person had been discussing this, and that was their perception, that there was some funny business with the money.
Then there was a couple neighbors that raised that several times. So I think, you know, it was part of concerns from the neighbors when they had that initial meeting, or maybe it was the meeting where all the yelling happened. I don't know, but that's interesting.
Well, any case, what I wanted to talk to this group about was, is there a way that we could set a regular meeting time? Or I know everybody else is involved with so many different things that it can be difficult to find a time. But, you know, are there people, now that Garfield's off the planning, can we do it on Thursdays, like the third Thursday of the month or something like that? You know, rather than having to scramble every month and try to find a date that works for everybody.
That could probably work for me. The tree committee is always the second Wednesday, so.
Yeah, Thursday is fine with me.
Thursday would be okay.
I'll have to get back to you, Fred, because,
Okay, would you?
yeah, my schedule's all screwed up. Yeah,
Um,
meaning it's loaded.
there was an inquiry to the town about a person wanting to join. As you know, the vacancy on our vacancy, when we have 2 vacant spots, are listed on the town committee's website along with other vacancies. And I will pursue that and see if we can find someone else to join there. So.
Me too.
So and if you know of anybody, please let them know there. I would love it if we got somebody from the Linda Road neighborhood to be part of it, so that they can, you know, provide that input. Linda Lane, that's what it is.
Can I harken back for a moment?
Yes.
What Rich was saying about involving other boards. My only concern is having too many cooks spoiling the broth, and having, if we keep even more people, we're going to have more different opinions. Like they say, you're going to ask one person and ask the next, you'll get different opinions. If we're going to have 18 people, just using a figure, we have 18 different opinions, and we don't really need that.
Well,
I don't want to. Go ahead. Maybe I misunderstood you, and maybe I'm not correct in thinking, but I know too many people. Sometimes it's trouble.
Yeah, we have a 7-member board, so we only have 2 open spots.
Correct, but didn't we suggest, or Larissa suggested, other boards going along?
That we work with other boards to hound the point about housing and job training. But
Okay. Well, that's fair.
and that's a good discussion we should have, but I think my point was, like, maybe just to let them know we're still here. Like, I don't necessarily need them to get involved with our committee and be at our meetings, and I just want them to know we still exist, and we are addressing one of the largest crises in our town that has been a crisis my whole life. So, you know, just to maybe touch base with the school board, you know, I can't imagine there isn't public school kids who have housing struggles or whatever. So, yes, but I agree with you about too many cooks in the kitchen. So
what about the subcommittee just joined or trying to join with Pedro, Lee, and Jonathan Hankin, and it's tailored to housing needs, is it not? Do we want to join with them? Is it different? Are they going to be doing something different? Do we need to join forces with them?
I don't know. I thought they were going to disband it when I left.
I'm sorry?
I thought they were going to disband that committee, or did you get assigned to it?
I am assigned to it along with Lee.
Okay.
It's meeting Monday morning.
which committee are we talking about?
Well, joint committee of the select board and the planning board, 2 members from each board get together to discuss housing.
So,
And they don't include us?
yeah,
Well, Garfield's
crazy.
on it.
gotcha.
The subcommittee is meeting Monday morning.
At 10:30.
Thank you, Eileen.
So Garfield can just report back to us.
Yeah.
in August. Take notes, Garfield.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so it's nothing we need to join forces with or anything you think?
And Garfield, if there's a time when you would like to have another member of the board come and either update them on what we're doing, what our programs are, that kind of thing, listen, even just listen. Certainly, I think almost any of us would be available to come in and do that.
Okay.
We'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
And it might be something you propose to them and said, we could have the Affordable Housing Committee come in and just tell us what they're doing that's working or not.
Fred, just to comment, I think we've got to be very careful about what we do because as you know, in the early days, the CPC was concerned about our not doing anything. And now we do have a couple of programs that are working. And I think that my view is that we've got to move ahead on our own for the most part.
I do think that we have some things with the North Plain Road site and others that we need to make sure. I don't think we need to take on any new programs right now.
Well, I think the North Plain Road site is a different kettle of fish.
It's certainly on its own timeline.
Yes, it is. And we're talking 2 to 3 years or more.
Yeah, it could be 6 or 7 before it's all built out.
Right.
Okay, on our agenda, we have trustees speak time. Is there
Fred,
anything else that anyone wants to bring up?
I'm sorry to back you up one, but do you want a motion for us to apply for CPC money? Or did we?
Not at this time. Let's do it at the next meeting.
Gotcha.
Go ahead. Larissa, did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, I just said I have nothing else. Thanks.
Hearing nothing else, citizen speak.
Not a thing. Thank you.
I think you're media. We'll call you media time. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you for your attendance.
Thanks, Eileen.
In terms of the next meeting, as I said, we'll end up having to send a doodle poll out. Perhaps when we get into this in the fall and the winter, we can set a regular time. I'm suggesting that we skip over July and maybe come like the second week in August, although people might be on vacation, second, third week. And I will let you know.
Okay, really quickly, you do have the right email address for me. I found your doodle poll in a pile of emails that I didn't read, so.
Well, I had 2 and one had a dot in it and one didn't. So I kept sending them to different ones.
It's the dot. I did get it, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Without objection, we can be adjourned for the evening. And I don't believe we need to take a roll call.
Great.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Fred.
Good night. Thanks.
Night. Thank you.
Good night.